Hey, how's it going, guys? In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to download email attachments using Gmail API in Python. Alright, so the Gmail API is probably one of the most difficult APIs to use when it comes to one of the workspace APIs. And just because there are so many layers involved. Alright, so let me go into my Gmail account. So for my Gmail account, if I search for by attachments, it's going to show me these two emails. And in each email, I want to download the attachments that attach to each email message. And before diving into the tutorial, make sure that you enable Gmail API service. Oh, and one more thing. So I created this Google APIs module, which is a utility module I wrote to simplify some of the Google API service operation. So make sure that you download the source code from the link in the description below. Alright, so let me dive into my script. And here, let me increase the font size. Alright, so from the import statement, I'm going to import base64 module. Next, I'm going to import the type module and the OS module. And from Google APIs module, I'm going to create the create service function. Now here I'm going to create a class. I'm going to call this class Gmail exception. And I'm going to pass the exception class as the base class. Alright, so this is going to be Gmail base exception class. And this should be exception. I can use this Gmail exception base class as the base to raise any custom exception that relate to Gmail. So for this class, I'm going to name this as no email found. And I'm going to pass Gmail exception as the parent class. And it's going to be the class I'm going to use to raise no email found exception error. Alright, so for this script, I'm going to create two functions. The first function is going to be used to search for emails. I'll name this function search emails. And this function takes two parameters, the create string and the label ID. And it's going to be a list. Here, let's do this. From typing, I'm going to import the list class base. And here I can specify the data type as a list. I'm going to set the default to none. Now let's do the same thing for create string as well. Now inside the function, I'm going to insert try except block. And it's going to be exception as E. And if we run into any exception, I want to raise the no email found exception. And here we can provide the message. And let's do no emails returned. Now going back to the try block. From the Gmail service object, .users, .messages, .list. And let me go back to the documentation real quick. Right, so we're going to look for users, messages, followed by the list method. So using the messages list method, we can use this queue parameter, which is the create string, to search for emails that have attachments. And we don't need to provide a request body. And the maximum numbers of messages to return is 100, which is the default. And we can increase the number up to 500 as the max. So here, let me go ahead and create my main routine. So here I'm going to say if name is equals to main. I want to construct the Gmail API service instance. And here I'm going to provide my client secret file or my client file. and it's going to be this file path. Also need to provide the API name, and which is going to be Gmail, the API version, and it's going to be v1, and the permission scopes. For the permission scopes, I'm going to use the mail.google.com scope. So it's going to be https mail.google.com. I'm going to create my Gmail service instance. I'm going to insert the create service function to create the Gmail service instance. And we need to provide the client secret file, API name, API version, and scopes. Alright, so let's do this. Let me go ahead and create the service instance. Oh, I forgot to import the libraries. Alright, so it's going to ask me to choose my account for authentication. I'm going to choose my account. On this page, click on Events, then click on this link to proceed. I need to grant permission to the app. Alright, so once we have authenticated our account, we can close the tab. I forgot the / at the end. Here, let me recreate the service instance. Alright, so when you see this WinAir1004 error message, basically you just need to reattempt to create the service instance again. Alright, so let me go ahead and terminate this session. And I'll rerun everything. And that usually solves the problem. Alright, so I'm going to choose my account, Events, click on this link to proceed, and grant permission to the app. And we can close the tab. Alright, so here let me create my query string. And the query string is going to be has, attachment. Right, so let's go back to the search emails function. .asq. I'll name the output as message list response. Right, so inside the list method, for the user ID parameter, I can use the special value me to indicate that this is my account. And just in case if you want to search emails from a specific folder or labels, we can specify the label IDs with the label IDs argument. Then we can pass the query string. And because there may be additional pages of information that we need to extract. So here I'm going to reference message list response object.get. And if we look at the response object sample right here, so the messages key is going to contain all the messages. So here we're going to reference messages. I'll name the output as message items. Next, I'm going to check if a next page token ID is available. I'll name this as next page token. And from message list response.get, I'm going to check against the next page token key. Here I'm going to insert while loop to check while next page token is not empty. Then I'm going to fetch the email messages until the next page token returns as an empty string. So this is going to be message list response. And I'm going to copy this code block. And I'll just copy and paste. And I'll indent this code block Inside this list method, we're going to need to provide the next page token to the page token parameter. And here, we need to change this to extend. And everything else stays the same. And here we can return the message items object. Right, so that's the search emails function. Now we're going to create another function to download the attachments. And I'll name this function gets file data. And this function takes 4 parameters: message ID, attachment ID, file name, and save location. And to download the attachments, from the service object .users.messages, we want to use the attachments resource. So we need to type attachments.get.asq. Inside the get method, we need to specify the user ID, and it's going to be me, and the message ID, and it's going to be coming from message ID argument. And I'm going to supply the attachment ID argument to the ID parameter. I'll name the output as response. And to load the byte data over attachment, so from base64.url save _b64 decode. I'm going to insert the response object .gets, and I want to extract the byte data. Then I need to encode the byte string to UTF-8. And I'll name the output as file data. And I'll return the file data object. I'm going to create these 2 functions in memory. Actually, I'll create everything in memory. Now we can go ahead and download the attachments. So first I need to specify the download location. And I'll save the files to my project folder. Now I want to retrieve the emails that has attachments. I'll name this as email messages. And I'll insert the search email function. And I'll provide my query string. And for the label ID, I'm going to set that as non-value, which is going to make this function to search every single of my email in my Gmail account. And here I send a typo somewhere, and this should be pro. So let me go ahead and run these 2 lines. Oh, query string is not created. If I print the email messages object, it's going to return a list with the email ID and the direct ID. And to download the attachments from each email, so here I'm going to insert loop. I'm going to say for email message in email messages. And I just realized I forgot to create one more function. I'm going to name this function get message detail. And this function takes the message ID, the email message format that I want to return us, and I'll name the parameters format. And I'll set the default as metadata. And we can also specify the metadata header. And I'll set the default to none. Oh, and this is going to be a list data type. And from the service object, .users, .messages, .gets, we're going to return an email messages content using the messages.get method. And we need to specify the user ID, and it's going to be me, the email ID, and that's going to be message ID, the email format that you want to return us, and this will be, actually let's name this as message format. And the metadata header, and this will be plural, so it's going to be metadata headers. And let me name this to headers as well. And I'll name the output as message detail. And I'll return the message detail object. And let me go ahead and create a function. Alright, so going back to the loop, I'm going to retrieve the emails content here. And I'll name the output as message detail. And I'll insert the get message detail function. And we need to provide the email ID. And for the format, actually this will be message format. And I'll set the value to 4, meaning that I want to return everything. And from the metadata headers, I only want to return just the parts. Right, so let me put a break statement here, and I'm going to run this loop. And here I'm getting a type error. Let me take a look. Oh, this should be email message. Right, so let me try again. If I print the message detail object, let me do it here in the terminal. And it's going to return a dictionary. Inside the dictionary object, it's going to contain the data that make out to the email message content. Here I need to grab the email's payload. So it's going to be, let's name this as message detail payload. And from message detail .gets, I want to grab the payload. Then I can check if parts. So the parts key is going to, here, it's going to hard to describe. Basically, from message detail payload, the byte string of the attachments is going to be under this parts key. It's in message detail payload. And if this statement returns true, then I know the email contains the attachments. I can download the attachments by referencing message detail payload, giving the pass key. And it's going to return as a list. And I want to say for message payload in this output right here. I want to grab the file name, the attachment's body, and just in case, I want to do one more check. If attachment ID is in the body object, then I want to grab the attachment ID, and it's going to be body, referencing the attachment ID key. And finally, we can grab the file data. Let's name this as attachment content. And here I'm going to insert the get file data function. And I'm going to supply the email ID, the attachment ID, the file name, and the save location. Now I can download the file. So I'm going to say when open, and this is going to be the file path. And the file name. I'm going to write as binary, as file. And here we're going to write the file. And the content is going to be attachment content. Then I want to print a message, file, followed by the file name. Is safe at, and this is going to be the file location. And because with Gmail API, it can exceed certain numbers of requests per minute, here I'm going to delay the next iteration by 0.5 seconds using the time sleep function. Alright, so this is going to be the entire script. I'm going to terminate this session. Now I'm going to press F5 to run the script. So you have a type error. Oh, I see why. So you have a typo. This should be payload. Alright, so let me rerun the script again. So it looks like all the files are downloaded. If I go back to my project folder, and here's the Word document, the image file, and a couple other Python script from the email attachments. And let's take a quick look. Alright, so from this email I have 3 Python scripts. 1, 2, and there should be one more, and google.py file. And for the other email, we have 2 attachments, a Word document and an image file. Alright, so this is going to be everything I'm going to share in this video, and hopefully you guys found this video useful. And as always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.